Most gardeners think the pepper season ends when the frost begins to whisper across the yard. The leaves fade, the soil cools, and we watch our once bright plants bow to winter's quiet call. But what if that didn't have to be the end? What if your peppers could rest through the cold and rise again in spring stronger, earlier, and ready to reward you twice over? I used to believe peppers were annuals, one-season wonders meant for summer heat. But a few years ago, as the November wind rolled through my Virginia garden, I couldn't bring myself to toss them out. Their roots still felt alive, their stems still breathing quietly beneath the chill. I decided to keep them just to see. What I discovered that winter changed the way I garden forever. You see, overwintering isn't about forcing life to keep going. It's about giving it a gentler rhythm. It's a bit like us, really learning to slow down, rest deeply, and come back wiser. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to Golden Garden Days. I'm John Thornfield, and this little corner of the internet is where we grow quietly, patiently, and with heart. If you enjoy calm, practical gardening wisdom for life after 60, go ahead and tap that like button. It helps more gardeners find our circle. And while you're here, let me know in the comments where you're watching from tonight. I love seeing how far these gardens stretch from Maine's frosty porches to California's sunlit patios. Now, if you've ever felt that winter was the end of your garden, this little journey might surprise you. By the end of this video, you'll know how to help your peppers sleep safely through winter and wake up with double the harvest next year, plus one simple trick that makes it easier on your hands, back, and heart. So pull up a chair, maybe pour yourself something warm, and let's talk about how to carry a little summer into the colder months. The garden doesn't stop when the frost arrives, it just changes its song. When late autumn settles in, there's a quiet moment every gardener knows that one morning when the light feels different, softer, but edged with cold. The peppers still stand, bright against the fading garden, unaware that frost is on its way. This is where the secret begins. Before the cold takes them, we give them a second chance. 1. The pre-frost rescue. Most folks pull up their peppers at the season's end, thinking that's the natural order of things. But peppers are perennials in disguise. They just can't handle a hard freeze. With a bit of care, they can live for years, producing earlier and heavier each season. Start by choosing the strongest plants. Look for sturdy stems and leaves free from disease or spots. Avoid those that have struggled or yellowed. Winter can't save what's already fading. Then, with a small spade, dig carefully around the base, lifting the plant with as much root as possible. If your back isn't what it used to be, use a garden seat or kneeling pad. There's no prize for rushing. Shake off the excess soil and replant your peppers in a pot just big enough to hold them. Lightweight plastic or fabric planters work beautifully. They're easy to lift, even on cold mornings. Give the roots a light watering and trim back any long, tangled branches. What you're doing now isn't pruning for shape, it's trimming for strength. I remember one chilly afternoon, my breath fogging in the air as I worked, when my wife called from the porch, "You're saving those old peppers again?" I laughed and said, "Not saving, inviting them in." It's funny, the words we use, we don't always notice how much gardening mirrors the way we live. We keep what still has life in it. We nurture what can return. When you've got your peppers ready, bring them indoors before the first real frost. A garage, sunroom, or bright basement window works fine anywhere with light and temperatures that stay above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this is where many gardeners make a mistake. They treat their peppers like houseplants, watering them too often and keeping them too warm. But winter is a time of rest, not revival, which leads us to the next stage, helping them settle into their quiet season. Stage 2. The winter transition. Inside, your pepper will look confused. At first, leaves may droop, a few might yellow. That's natural. The plant is slowing down, shifting into dormancy, like a bear settling into its den. Trim it back to about 1/3 of its height. This might feel harsh, but don't worry, peppers regrow eagerly from strong wood. Think of it like a haircut before a long nap. Remove any remaining fruit or buds. They'll only draw energy from what needs to rest. Place the pot near a sunny window or under a soft grow light, but away from heat vents or cold drafts. The goal is a steady, cool brightness. Around 55 to 65 degrees is perfect. In many U.S. homes, that means near a south-facing window or an enclosed porch. Water only when the top inch of soil feels dry. Overwatering is the easiest way to undo your work. Instead, use a small spray bottle to mist the soil surface lightly. Seniors often find this gentler on the hands and easier to control than lifting a heavy watering can. While you're tending to your plant, take a moment to enjoy the quiet of this slower pace. There's something deeply comforting about nurturing life when everything outside seems asleep. The garden teaches patience, even indoors. Before we move on, let me know in the comments, are you trying this for the first time or have you overwintered peppers before? I'd love to hear where you're gardening from. Whether you're tuning in from the frosty plains of Minnesota or the mild hills of North Carolina, your winter setup might look different, and sharing your experience can help another grower. And if you're finding this helpful, give the video a quick like. It tells me to keep making more quiet, steady guides like this one. As the weeks pass, your indoor pepper will lose most of its leaves. Don't panic. Beneath the bark, the sap still moves slowly, conserving energy. Every few weeks, check the stems if they're still firm and green underneath the surface. Your plant is alive and waiting for spring. This stage, the waiting, the quiet, is often when older gardeners fall in love with overwintering. It doesn't demand much. It asks only that you pay attention, that you trust the rhythm of rest. And when spring begins to whisper at your window again, that trust pays off tenfold. Because when others are sowing new seeds, you'll already have a pepper that remembers summer roots seasoned by time, ready to begin again. Stage 3. The quiet care period. Winter months. In the heart of winter, while the garden outside sleeps under frost, your peppers will look bare, a few woody stems in a pot, maybe a leaf or two clinging on. Don't mistake stillness for failure. Nature knows how to rest better than we do. Settle your plants in a cool, bright space near a window where the sun moves low across the room. Every few weeks, check the stems and soil. Touch the earth. It should feel dry at the surface, just cool beneath. If it feels bone dry, give a sip of water just enough to dampen, not soak. Too much care, and you'll drown the roots. Older gardeners sometimes worry that they'll forget or do too little, but in this case, less truly is more. I keep a small note taped beside my pepper pots, a reminder that reads, "Patience is the gardener's greatest tool." Once a month, inspect for pests like aphids or spider mites. You can wipe the stems with a soft cloth or spray lightly with a mild soap solution. Keep the air moving gently, a small fan, if you like, or even just opening a window for a few minutes. The plants don't ask for much, just attention in small, thoughtful doses. And as you tend to them, you'll notice something else. Caring for resting plants in winter does something quiet to your spirit. The world slows, and you slow with it. There's a calm satisfaction in seeing green where everything else is gray. It's a little reminder that life, in all its forms, finds ways to endure. By late February, you may notice tiny green buds forming on the stems, signs that the pepper is ready to wake. That's your cue to move to the next stage. Stage 4. The Spring Awakening. Early spring. When the sun begins to climb higher, the soil outside softens, and the light through the window starts to feel warmer. That's your signal. Your pepper has been resting long enough. It's time to reintroduce it to the world. Start by trimming away any dry or brittle branches. You'll see fresh growth pushing from the joints. That's where the new season begins. Refresh the top few inches of soil, adding compost or a light organic fertilizer, something gentle, like worm castings or fish emulsion. This gives the plant the nutrients it needs to stretch again. Now, take your time bringing it outside. In early spring, the nights can still dip cold, so harden the plant gradually. Place it outside for a few hours each day, then bring it back in before dusk. Over the course of a week or two, extend its outdoor time until it can handle a full day. This stage is one of quiet triumph. While others are waiting for their seedlings to sprout, your overwintered pepper is already leafing out, strong and sure. The roots are seasoned, the stems mature, they know the rhythm now. The first blooms will appear weeks earlier than any seedling could manage. And when they do, it's a little like seeing an old friend smile again. If you've ever doubted whether patience pays off in gardening, this is where you'll know it does. One year, I remember stepping outside after a late rain in April. The air was cool and heavy, the kind that smells of earth and renewal. My overwintered peppers were just beginning to flower, while my neighbor's new seedlings were barely breaking soil. He looked over the fence and laughed. "John, you've got a head start again." I just smiled and said, "No, just an early wake-up call." And truly, that's what overwintering is, waking up what's already good. Stage 5. The Harvest Multiplier Secret. Late spring to summer. Here's the part that makes all the patience worth it. When summer arrives, your overwintered pepper doesn't waste time building from scratch. It goes straight to work, blooming faster, fruiting heavier, and producing for longer. The result? A harvest that can double or even triple what you'd get from fresh seedlings. But there's one more secret to stretch your reward even further: propagation. In late spring, take a few small cuttings from your overwintered plant, about 4 inches long. Remove the lower leaves and place the cuttings in water or damp potting mix. Within a couple of weeks, they'll sprout roots. These new starts can be potted or planted directly in your garden once the nights stay above 50 degrees. Not only does this give you extra plants for free, but it also creates a beautiful cycle. Each new pepper is a descendant of last year's care. For seniors, this method is a gift. Less bending, less replanting, more continuity. And perhaps that's the deeper magic in all of this. Overwintering peppers isn't just about saving time or doubling yield, it's about continuity, carrying something through the seasons, watching it adapt and endure. If you've spent enough years in the garden, the most rewarding harvests aren't always the heaviest baskets. They're the ones that remind you you're still part of the rhythm. So when summer finally settles in and your overwintered peppers start bearing fruit again, take a moment to stand in the shade and admire what you've done. You didn't force nature. You just listened to it, moved with it, trusted it to come back around. That's the quiet joy of a seasoned gardener, to know when to act and when to wait. And as your peppers glow red and gold in the summer sun, you'll realize you've grown something far more than food. You've grown time itself. When midsummer rolls around and your peppers stand tall again, leaves glossy, branches heavy with color, there's a moment of quiet pride that no seed packet can give. You'll look at those plants and remember the frost you rescued them from, the dim light of winter afternoons, the patience it took to keep faith when nothing seemed to be happening. That's what overwintering teaches you, that stillness is not the same as stopping. Growth doesn't disappear. It just moves inward for a while. Each time I walk past my pepper beds in July, I see not just this year's garden, but last year's care living on. The stems are thicker, the roots deeper, the fruit more generous. And somehow, that feels a little like aging well. We slow down, yes, but we deepen. We learn that time itself is a tool, that rest can be just as productive as work if we let it be. Maybe that's why overwintering resonates so strongly with older gardeners. It's not a fight against nature, it's a conversation with it. We've learned to listen. We've learned that some things only flourish after a season of stillness. If you followed along this far, I hope you felt not only the practicality of what we've talked about, but also the peace in it. To overwinter, a pepper is to honor the rhythm of the garden, to say, you don't have to end here. You can rest and then return. And when that first bloom opens again in spring, it's more than a flower. It's a small miracle, the kind that doesn't shout, just hums softly under your breath while you water the soil and whisper, "We made it through another winter." For those of you in northern climates, Michigan, New York, the Dakotas, your overwintering setup might need a little more protection. A south-facing window, or even a small grow light on a timer, will make all the difference. Down south, in places like Texas or Georgia, your peppers may only need light shelter, a porch corner, or a sunny room to rest. The process is the same. The rhythm just shifts slightly with the land. And if mobility or space is a challenge, don't let that stop you. A single overwintered pepper in a pot can bring months of joy. You can keep it near your kitchen window or even on a balcony. Each time you see it, it's a reminder that life adapts, and so can we. I've met gardeners in their 80s who still start their mornings by checking a single plant, the same way some folks check the weather. That small ritual, the act of noticing, caring, tending, keeps something alive inside us. It's not about yield or record harvests anymore. It's about companionship. So, as this video draws to a close, take a moment to imagine your own pepper plants this winter tucked inside, quiet but alive, waiting for the sun's return. Think of the patience it takes to trust what you can't see, and the reward that comes when spring proves you right. That's gardening in its truest form, not control, but faith. And if you try this for yourself, I'd love to hear how it goes. Did your peppers make it through? Did they wake up early? Share your story in the comments below, not just for me, but for the thousands of gardeners out there who might be wondering if it's worth trying. Your story could be the nudge that keeps someone else's garden alive through winter. If this guide brought a bit of warmth to your day, give it a like and subscribe to Golden Garden Days. It helps us reach more folks who believe that the garden is never really done, it just changes form. I release new episodes each week, right here. Each one, a quiet companion for your growing journey. Next time, we'll talk about how to prepare your garden beds for winter rest without heavy digging or harsh effort. It's all about gentleness, ease, and staying connected to the soil you love. Until then, remember, your garden doesn't stop when the season ends. It simply shifts gears, just as we do. Keep your hands in the soil, your heart in the work, and your days golden. And wherever you're watching from, whether it's the snowy plains of Montana, a sunny Florida patio, or a cozy apartment window in Chicago, thank you for being here. You remind me that no matter where we plant ourselves, we can always keep growing. So take care, stay warm, and I'll see you next time in the garden. Or perhaps by the window where the peppers rest and wait for spring.